Hello crafty cuties and welcome to today's video. I wanted to make a really simple journal with you guys, and I have been making these little scrap journals recently. I wanted to make one with you, so if you want to make your own, you can. We are going to basically gather any scraps you want to use up. I have papers, and a lot of these might be a full-size paper, but it's just kind of a single paper that I didn't have in a paper pad. I have all different types. That's the fun part about these journals, is it's going to be a mixture of things. Printed out pages, music pages, you know, what you would typically put in a junk journal, obviously. But for me, I usually plan them out and, I don't know, make things kind of flow a little bit. But for these ones, I'm literally just going to cut the pages down, and I'm going to make this 4 1/4 by 8. So we need to cut our pages down to 8 1/2 by 8. So I am going to kind of look through here and see. I think I'll use this for my cover. So I want to cut this one by itself, and then we can cut everything else down. So we will cut this at 8 and by 8 1/2. I want to keep that side the prettiest. So there we go. So even the covers of these journals are going to be simple. That way the recipient can make, you know, add whatever they want. So there's the cover. Now we just need to cut everything else down. So I'm going to cut about 15 pages down. Let's get to it. I'm gonna fast forward through this part. So I decided to make this around a 30-page journal. So I have 8 full-size pages in here. I have everything cut down to size. I found an envelope that I cut the edge off so that I can put it in the middle. Now you can leave it just like this and bind it together, but I do like to add at least one pocket in here when I'm making this for other people. So I'm going to take some of my scraps, and don't worry, I know that I'm calling this a scrap journal and then I'm cutting things down. I'm actually going to be using these scraps for an even smaller journal. So I'm going to actually just cut this strip down so that I can use this for a pocket. And let's see, I know that I need it to be 8 1/2 across. There we go. I'm gonna fold that in half, and then I will go ahead and attach this right here so I can have a full pocket. And then the other thing I want to do is I like to have one of the pages be a full pocket. And so I'm going to take 2 pieces, 1, 2, and I'm going to just adhere this down at the bottom and down at the top so that you have a full pocket page, and then we can keep the rest simple. So let's go ahead and sew these. Okay, so there is that pocket, and then when you fold it in half, you'll have, you know, 2 separate pages with pockets. And I don't sew down the middle because we will bind that. Now I'm going to take my 2 pieces and I'm just going to simply sew down the bottom and top. And I think my needle just came unthreaded. It's all done. All right, gotta rethread. Now go through and make sure that you have everything in the right order that you want it to be in. It's really hard for me to keep these blank pages, but I'm going to do it because the whole point is to have lots of space for the recipient to do what they want with their journal. And I'm going to take a glassine bag and trim off the bottom here so that we can add this in. Just fold that in half, and I kind of like to break up the pages by having, you know, a smaller page and then a bigger page. And that's another thing that we can use the smaller scraps for. And you know what? I am actually going to sew down the bottom and top and then fold it in half, and then we can have a little spot for a tag. So I'll take my little circle punch and just go ahead and punch a half circle so you can have a little tab for a tag or some journaling cards. Go ahead and place this in. I also grabbed some scrap fabric because I thought it would be kind of nice to have just some different textures in the journal. Yeah, so we'll just go ahead and I'll just use it, or I'll just place it in here just like I would a page. I think that'll be kind of fun. I do like all of the different elements in here, the kind of mismatch theme we got going on. The only thing I'm thinking of doing before binding this is adding some pockets on the inside cover. I do really think that that's a nice thing to have on your covers. So for the inside cover, I'll go ahead and just add a little bag, and then we can have a really nice spot to add photos or whatever you want at the beginning of your journal. I'm just gonna glue that on. So that will go on the inside of the front cover, and then I'm going to put a library card little pocket on the back paper. And this was in my scrap bin because I got some ink right here. So I'm just going to take another scrap paper here, and we can cover that up by just placing that over, and then it kind of adds a little bit of prettiness to it. And then we'll go ahead and just adhere this to the back cover. So now it is finally time to bind our journal together. I have everything in the order that I want it to be in. So now we just need to punch some holes. Before we do that, I'm going to take some paper clips, and I want to paper clip my journal to the middle. So you're gonna have everything exactly where you want it. And then take a couple paper clips to hold everything in place while we're punching the holes. This is something that I didn't used to do because I like to do things really quick, but I would find that my holes would get messed up quite a bit. So I do really recommend doing this part. Now for the binding on this journal, we don't need to be too careful about where the holes are, meaning we don't need to measure, or at least I don't do measuring on these journals. I am going to be punching the holes inside an envelope so that we can hide the binding. So basically what I want for the first hole is just to be somewhere in the middle. I'm using my awl. You can use a thumbtack or just whatever you have to poke a hole, and I'm just going to simply push through. And then I will do one down at the bottom. And I'm going to do it, make sure that it's inside the envelope. Now I always look on the outside to make sure that my hole is actually going through to the center. I have had times where somehow it wasn't lined up correctly and it kind of went through like the front cover or the back cover. And if that happens, do not worry, guys. You did not make a mistake. You'll just need to find a way to cover that up, and I would use lace or something like that. Okay, I'm going to use some embroidery floss just because I don't normally use this, and I thought it would be kind of fun to add some color. And I'm going to go ahead and thread my needle. So I'm just going to start by taking my needle through the middle, pulling it through but leaving a little bit of the thread on the inside, and then I go in through the top hole, and my papers came a little There we go. They came a little pulled apart. I don't know what I'm trying to say. And then we are going to go down to the bottom hole. And go ahead and just pull that through. Make sure it doesn't get stuck on your corners here. And I accidentally just pulled a little bit too hard there. And now we are going to thread in, back in the middle hole. And so we will start, or sorry, we will end up where we started. Okay, now you want your two ends of your thread to be on opposite sides of this middle. So you can see how that middle lifts up. You want one of the ends on the right and one on the left. Make sure that everything's pulled nice and tight. And I accidentally pulled this string as it was going around. So that's why you always need to check before tying off. And now go ahead and tie a double knot. Oops. My hands are really dry today, so I'm having a hard time gripping anything. Okay, and now we can, I'm actually gonna do a triple knot because why not? Get it? Why not? Okay, go ahead and take your paper clips off. Now I like to make sure that I know where the top is, and I like to leave some of the thread down at the bottom, so I'm going to leave it coming out of the envelope. If you wanted yours completely hidden, you would trim the ends, but I'm going to leave mine hanging because I like to put a charm down at the bottom. I'm going to use some glue right around the edge of this envelope. And then we can go ahead and adhere this down. And I do like the look. Even though I have mine hanging down, it is still rather neat and tidy. So we'll just let that dry for a moment, and then I'm going to add some lace closures. All right, to keep with the simple theme, I'm actually just going to take a piece of lace and I will tie it around for the little closure. And a lot of people use these journals in, you know, a traveler's notebook, so I don't always find it necessary to create a closure that's like in the cover. So we'll just do that. I think that's actually really pretty. And then I'm going to go ahead and I have this little key charm. Again, very simple. And I am just going to thread this through and then we will tie it off. And there is your complete journal or traveler's notebook insert. I love it. I think it's nice and simple, and it does give, you know, the person who's going to be using it lots of room to grow. I still would consider this a junk journal, just, you know, there's a variety of pages and there are some pockets and envelopes and a lot can be added. So I hope that you guys liked this video. Hope it was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions down below, and I will see you guys later. Bye.